Monkey Man had its world premiere just over a month ago at South by Southwest, where it received a standing ovation. Everyone was in awe of the movie and everyone was appreciating Dev Patel for the work that he had put in this movie. He was the writer of this movie, he was the director of this movie, he was the main protagonist of this movie. Dev Patel did everything and everyone was applauding Dev Patel for the action work that he had done in this movie. The action was just brutal, bloody, gory, and there was this whole story that after the standing ovation, the entire team of the movie actually came on stage, and by seeing the overwhelming response, Dev Patel actually broke down in front of them. So there was this whole story where he again shared the inspiration behind making this movie, that how in his childhood his grandfather, his family used to tell him the stories of Lord Hanuman, the Hindu god, and how he wanted to showcase those stories on an international level. And I've actually made an entire video on this exact same thing. You can check this video out here. But basically I was super hyped for this movie. Now let's start with the story. This movie is basically a revenge action thriller movie. It is a revenge drama filled with a lot of blood and a deep rooted emotions of Hindu mythology, gods, and the disparity between the upper class and the lower class. So in this movie, our main guy Bobby, his mother is killed when he is a child and he wants to take revenge. Then when he grows on to become an adult, he actually fights in an underground fight club where he wears the monkey mask and calls himself Monkey Man, his alias. Then there's this whole story of how he kind of goes up the ranks and meets his rival and all those things. But on what thing this movie actually drives itself? It is the action of this movie. The action of this movie is really stellar. It is very resourceful. What do I mean by resourceful? For example, if you're fighting in a kitchen, you will use everything that you find in the kitchen. You will use the oven, you'll use the knife, you'll use the fork, you'll use glasses, you'll use everything, you'll even use the tray. And that is what you get in this movie, with a lot of blood, very gory action sequences. I loved it, and the action sequences will kind of remind you on some level of the John Wick style-ish action, but in a good way, mind you, in a good way, because this movie doesn't try to copy the action style of John Wick, but it actually tries to give it a tribute. And if you notice the action throughout the movie, the action actually improves, and the way the action is shot actually improves as well as the movie goes along. Because at the start, our main guy protagonist is not very fluent in his action sequences, he's not very fluent in his action, so therefore there are not a lot of long takes, there aren't a lot of one take action sequences. But as the movie goes along, especially in the second half, where our main guy is quite prepared with his action arsenal, and that is the time where they really dive deep into longer shots. They really give us a lot of one take action sequences, though they are not very long, but they are very damn effective, and it really gives you a feel of being present in the action sequences. And I'm telling you, the action really gets better and better as the movie goes along. Now I want to talk about some of the inspirations taken from the Hindu mythology and from Lord Hanuman. So from the start of the movie, we have seen that our main guy, our protagonist, actually relates himself to Lord Hanuman. He actually sees Hanuman in himself, and he actually thinks he is Hanuman. And in fact, there are a couple of references to this as well. Firstly, his mother before dying just says it, that you are Hanuman. You are Hanuman, and he has been grown on the stories of Hanuman. He was brought up on the stories of Hanuman. His mother has raised him on the stories of Hanuman, so he sees Hanuman in himself. And now I really want to talk about another thing, that how his relationship with his mother was the focal point, or was the driving force for his revenge. So therefore the relationship between the mother and the son have to be shown very nicely, have to be shown very completely, like the audience should really feel the urge for the revenge. And I can happily say this movie really provides that urge for the revenge, because the relationship between the mother and son was really shown very nicely. And all the scene that we see in the flashback of his mother and our main protagonist Bobby, they are all in Bobby's vision. So therefore the way it was shot really expresses the need of urgency, because all of this vision, so they are choppy, and the way that it was shot very closely. Like most of the time you can't even see them in a single frame. It is almost like we are looking in from the POV of our main guy. And not just this, but there are a lot of other ways in which the entire movie has been shot, which really makes it a very creatively shot film. Like not just the action sequences, but other sequences as well were shot a bit differently, a bit creatively. You will in fact notice it when you watch the movie. It won't look normal, it would look something different. The main lack that this movie had was the development of the antagonist's side of the story. Now he is a very cliched villain, like he is a villain who is in upper class and our victim is in lower class, and it really shows how the upper class actually suppresses the lower class and all those things by taking away their land, burning their land and all those things. So that was a very cliched choice of character that they showed. The antagonist actually identified himself with Ravan. Like our main guy, our protagonist, he identified himself with Hanuman, and our antagonist associated himself with Ravan. So that was again a very mythological angle that they added, which was good, which was appreciable. But just to sum things up, the action in this movie is just stellar. It's brutal, it's bloody, it's fun to watch, and it looks very good, and the way it was shot also was very good. So Dev Patel really deserves appreciation for his action here, and I will highly recommend you to check out this video, because in this video I have talked about a theory which I think could definitely come out to be true in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. So as always, thank you so much for watching.